Although the New York Jets are 0-1, there was plenty of good to take away from their opening week performance. A 32-point effort against the Pittsburgh Steelers brought quality production on offense, but there was a standout defensive showing as well. Cornerback Sauce Gardner, in particular, was terrific. The rest of the defense struggled, yet the superstar stopper lived up to his reputation in Week 1. He did so in a relatively new role, too, shadow corner. Aaron Glenn tips cap to Sauce Gardner for slowing down DK Metcalf in Week 1. In his first game of the 2025-26 campaign, Gardner was assigned to Steelers star wide receiver DK Metcalf. Instead of merely manning one side of the field, he followed Metcalf wherever he went. It was a concerted effort by the Jets to minimize the impact of Pittsburgh's most dangerous pass catcher. Metcalf still got his, hauling in 4 passes for 83 yards. Gardner yielded just 11 of those yards, however. New scheme, new role. Sauce Gardner shadowed full-time for the first time in his NFL career in Week 1, traveling with DK Metcalf on 29 of his 32 routes, 29-29 perimeter. Head coach Aaron Glenn, who got to play a similar role when he was in the league, loves it. He praised Gardner to kick off Week 2. Man, to me, it makes it really easy for the defender because you can really study and hone in on that guy that you're going against, Glenn said on Monday. I know that's exactly what Sauce did, and there are going to be some games where we want him to be able to do that. There are going to be some games where we're going to say, play right and left, but it depends on the matchup, and it depends on what we want to do on defense. But again, I thought Sauce did an outstanding job challenging DK, and I will say he is a tough cover. I'll tell you that because there are a lot of other things that go into that matchup as far as the run game also being a part of it. I think you saw Sauce do a really good job as far as fitting against the run too. We're going to ask him to do that on a number of occasions, and it depends on the matchup for the most part. Gardner was one of 2 NFL cornerbacks to truly shadow in Week 1. The individual results spoke for themselves. Jets defense needs rebound performance as a group in Week 2. Unfortunately, the Jets' defense struggled overall. Even with 4 sacks as a unit, it wasn't enough to slow down the opposing pass attack. Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who just spent 2 seasons in New York, threw for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. Pittsburgh came roaring back with 17 points in the fourth quarter, securing a victory the Jets seemed to have at hand. Advanced metrics added further context. According to rbsdm.com, Rodgers averaged 0.34 EPA/play on pass attempts, good for the 84th percentile. For reference, Jets quarterback Justin Fields had one of the games of his life at a 0.38 EPA/play mark. Pittsburgh feasted on early downs, achieving 91st percentile efficiency. Run support was about the only thing the Jets did well. They held starter Jaylen Warren to 37 yards on 11 carries, also limiting veteran Kenneth Gainwell for 19 yards on 7 tries. Gang Green will take that 7 days a week and twice on Sundays. After ranking 4th in points allowed in 2022, New York fell to 12th in 2023 and 20th last year. Through 1 week of play, they sit at 30th out of 32 teams. Week 2's matchup with a juggernaut Buffalo Bills offense won't make things much easier. The positive is that there isn't a top-shelf wideout that Gardner will have to shadow. The negative is slowing Josh Allen down is so much easier said than done. It is rare in the NFL that a position battle at punter is a noteworthy topic, but that was the case this summer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. After years of terrible punting success, the Steelers signed veteran Cameron Johnston last offseason to a sizable deal. He unfortunately made it just 1 game into the 2024 season before going down with a knee injury, making way for Corliss Whiteman. Whiteman had a strong season, making things tricky for Pittsburgh's coaching staff in training camp. With Johnston fully healed, a true competition began. Whiteman ultimately won out despite Johnston's 3-year, $9 million contract. Now that teams have gotten a real look at their punting situation following Week 1, an AFC contender just scooped up the former Steelers punter to help bolster their special teams. According to Tom Pelissero of NFL Network, the Buffalo Bills are bringing Johnston on board as they chase a Super Bowl in 2025. The Bills played what could already be the game of the year against the Baltimore Ravens, and their punter, Brad Robbins, struggled mightily. For a team with Super Bowl aspirations, the signing of Johnston is a reminder that every position on a roster is important. Steelers' former punter Cameron Johnston could be a major addition for the Buffalo Bills. Special teams can often be overlooked when analyzing NFL rosters, as they tend to be less impactful on the result of games than the offense or defense. Still, you don't want to be a team that struggles mightily at any one aspect of special teams play. Just look at how the Steelers got back in the game in their victory over the Jets. Things were looking bleak before the offense marched down the field to make it a 24-26 game early in the fourth quarter, but they had to get another stop against an offense that had run all over them up to that point. On the ensuing kick return, Jets returner Xavier Gipson fumbled on a great play by Kenneth Gainwell. That ended up being a huge difference in the game, as the Steelers scored just 2 plays later to make it a 31-26 ball game. They, of course, won the game 34-32 thanks to another special teams highlight, courtesy of Chris Boswell. The Bills may have won their opener against the Ravens, but their punting certainly didn't help. Robbins punted 4 times with an average net of just 39.5 yards, including a 28-yard shank in the fourth quarter. Signing Johnston so quickly after just one bad game from Robbins shows that there is no room for failure on a team like Buffalo, where the expectations couldn't be higher. The Steelers could learn from that attitude with how badly a few of their starters struggled in Week 1. Pittsburgh will get to face Johnston later this season, and hopefully, by then, it looks like they chose the right guy for the job. The Pittsburgh Steelers have long looked for wide receiver help after trading George Pickens, yet they never added anyone significant to the room. Calvin Austin III showed on Sunday they might not have needed to do that. He caught 4 passes for 70 yards and 1 touchdown. However, according to Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, the Steelers have kept an eye on a big trade target. That would be Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins, who were just pasted by the Indianapolis Colts in Week 1. Hill had a public falling out with some members of the Dolphins organization after saying, "I'm out, bro," following the team's final game last season. Hill instead has tried to mend his relationships with others and the organization, but that has become frayed, and a lack of success within the group has not helped that. Florio says that if the Steelers want to be even more all-in, there is already chatter around the Steelers being the ones to make the move. There's already chatter, in the aftermath of Sunday's win over the Jets, that the all-in Steelers could go even more all-in by making a move for Tyreek Hill, Florio wrote. Yes, Pittsburgh already has receiver DK Metcalf, who's making $30 million per year on a 5-year deal. But the Steelers don't have a clear-cut number 2. Hill would be 1B, if not, at times 1A, to Metcalf. To trade him, the Dolphins would have to eat dead money, which could drive the cost of a trade-up if he does get moved. The Steelers would be a natural spot, but so would the Kansas City Chiefs, who will be without top wide receivers Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice for the next few weeks.